What is up YouTube? I'm Royal, I'm rank 1 Wildrift, and in this video I will take you from beginner to pro on Vi. Vi is one of the strongest bruisers in the game. She has good mobility, big damage, and can be very tanky. Her ultimate is one of the most reliable engages in the game, allowing her to dive deep in the enemy backline or catch enemies out of position. In this video, I will go over everything you need to know about Vi. We will analyze how to build her correctly, how to use her abilities with some pro tips, and we will break down her game plan, explaining her strengths, weaknesses, and win conditions. Then we will put everything in practice and analyze some gameplay. Let's start off with your game plan. Vi has one of the fastest jungle clears in the game, allowing her to farm up to her ultimate very quickly. Your goal in the early and mid game, once you get your ultimate, is to gank as often as possible to get your allies ahead. You're a strong early game jungler, so make sure you try to exploit your early advantage. While your ultimate is on cooldown, however, you still want to be focusing on farming to stay ahead in gold and levels. Here's how you should think about Vi's game plan. Farm your camps, then use your ultimate to gank while your jungle camps are respawning. And then while your ultimate is on cooldown, go back to farming your camps. You need to make sure you're adapting to the situation in the game. However, this is the general rule you should have. Obviously, sometimes you have to gank without your ultimate, but this is the general rule that you need to think about while playing Vi. In team fights, you can use your ultimate as an engage tool, but you can also use it to peel your team. Vi is amazing at locking down priority targets with her single target knockup. This makes Vi an incredible counter to low mobility hyper carries like her sister Jinx, but also a very good counter to champions like Katarina and Zed that rely on their mobility to avoid crowd control, but they cannot avoid Vi's ultimate. Vi's main weakness is that she can very easily overextend in fights. Her ultimate allows her easy access to the enemy backline, but you can easily be focused by the 5 enemies and quickly get taken down. A good Vi knows how to engage and when to engage to minimize her chances of being killed in the process. Vi also begins to fall off in the late game when enemies are just too tanky to one-shot with her combo alone, so she relies on her team to follow up on her engages later into the game. Now let's talk about her build. So Vi can actually build so many different items depending on how you want to use her and what the game state is like, which is amazing because it gives you a lot of versatility and adaptability. You can build a lot of different items based on the situation. So let's jump straight into the items. Most of the time you're going to be starting with Trinity Force. Trinity Force is a great starting item for Vi because it allows you to clear the jungle a lot faster. It pretty much gives you all the stats you need, right? Ability haste, damage, health, and attack speed. It's the perfect first item for Vi. You're pretty much always rushing this. Next up, you want to get your boots right away, right? Usually you rush boots on most champions. However, since you're most likely going to be going tank boots, you want to get them second because you want to get damage right away to make your clear faster. So if you are going to go the damage boots, which would be the Glutinous Greaves or Boots of Dynamism, if you're going to do that, rush them before the Trinity Force. However, in most games you don't want to be going so much damage, you want to start building a little tankier, and tank boots are the best way to do that. So go for your Trinity Force, and then you can choose between Plated Steel Caps or Mercury Treads, depending on if the enemies have mostly magic damage or physical damage. If they have physical damage, go for Plated Steel Caps. If they have magic damage, go for Mercury Treads. Next, for your second item, you really have to start making some decisions here. Are you going to be going damage Vi, like bruiser damage Vi, or are you gonna be going into a tankier build? So if you're gonna go damage Vi, Sunder Sky is a great bruiser item that's gonna make your auto attacks, your first auto attack, do a lot more damage. It's gonna increase your burst, it's gonna give you more survivability, and gives you all the stats you need, HP and damage, right? However, if you wanna go tanky Vi, here you can actually go for Heartsteel, so you can start stacking your Heartsteel stacks ASAP. Heartsteel is an item that you can only get now at this point in the game. If you get it too early, your clear is going to be too slow. If you get it too late, you're not really going to be stacking it. So as a second item, this is your only chance to get Heartsteel if you want to get it. Otherwise, most of the time what I do is I go for the Sunder Sky and go for a more damaging build. However, you do have the option to go tank. If you're the only tank on your team, for example, and you really need to be that strong frontline for your team, then that's also an option. Then for your third item, depending on if the enemies have, again, mostly physical damage or mostly magic damage, if they have both and you got physical boots, now maybe you should get some magic resist, right? And your options for your defensive item are Death Dance. You can go Mauve Malmortius, which is a great option. Or if you really want magic resist, you can actually go Spirit Visage. That's another great item on Vi, which increases all healing and shielding effects on you by 30%. And your second ability gives you a shield, right? So if you have other shielding and healing champions in your team, like Milio, like Janna, like Lulu, like Soraka, of course, then Spirit Visage can actually be a great option. Then you have the option of Amaranth's Twin Guard. You can even go Amaranth's Twin Guard as your third item. This is the best tank item in the game, especially for bruisers. It's going to give you so much armor and so much magic resist, which is going to work really nicely with your shields, first of all, but also with the HP that you're getting. Keep in mind that your shields, right, they break harder. It's harder to break them when you have a lot of armor and a lot of magic resist. So you benefit a lot from Amaranth's Twin Guard as Vi. And of course, the tenacity is going to help a lot during fights. So if you're not going to get a third item, I definitely recommend getting it as your fourth item. And then lastly, for your fifth item, Sterix Cage or Guardian Angel. Both of these choices are great. Sterix Cage is going to give you a little more damage and a shield in fights, while Guardian Angel is of course going to give you the revive passive that is so valuable on Vi. Once you go in, right, you can't really come out with Vi. You're going to be very committed to the fight. So Guardian Angel is kind of going to give you a way for your team to catch up after you end up going down, right? You dive deep into the enemy carries, you get that initial engage, you get focused down, your team is winning the fight, but now you get the Guardian Angel, you can go in for round 2. Other great items include, if you want to go a little more damage heavy, Titanic Hydra is a great item, especially in the late game. Once you've gotten a lot of HP, it pairs up really nicely with Heartsteel. So if you've gone for the Heartsteel build, you can go for the Titanic Hydra or even for the Sunfire Cape that both scale of HP, and you're gonna get so much HP from Heartsteel, right? So this is a great choice as well. Other great choices for Vi, Rendwin's Omen, of course, other tank items. Depending on the situation. So Rendwin's Omen can be really good, especially if the enemies have crit champions. The extra damage and healing you get from the passive actually goes a really long way. Heartsteel is a decent option if the enemies have a lot of basic attack based champions, so like Yasuo, Yone, Love Carries, and so on. Thornmail is another great option for anti-heal, but for anti-heal you can actually even go Mortal Reminder if you want to go heavy damage build. This 3 item core is going to be really insane as well. So as you can see, you have a lot of options for the items. For your boot enchants, you really only have 3 choices. You're either going to go for the most typical one, which is the Stone Plate. That's going to make you super tanky in teamfights with a massive shield. However, if you want to dodge key spells like a Fizz Ultimate, Zed Ultimate, and so on, you can go for the Stasis, which will fulfill a similar purpose. Lastly, you can go for the Quicksilver, which is gonna help you a lot with enemies that have a lot of CC, but you already get quite a few CC reduction things like Legend Tenacity and Perseverance, so you already get a lot of Tenacity. You even get Tenacity with Terex, more Tenacity with Twin Guard, so for the most part, you're probably not really gonna need Quicksilver. I would stick with Stone Plate or Stasis. However, to simplify things, if you don't really want to think about all of that and you just want a good cookie cutter build, this is what I'm gonna give you now, and it's gonna go like this. So the only thing you really have to think about with this build is, should I be getting magic resist boots or armor boots? That's the only decision you have to do. The rest of the items are all great for all situations, so this is a great cookie cutter build. If you don't want to think about items too much, this is your best option. Now let's look into your runes. You're pretty much always going Conqueror. I have seen 2 different variations. One with First Strike, if you go heavy damage, heavy burst damage, right? First Strike will give you a lot of gold and a lot of initial damage. And Aftershock, if you want to be that frontline tank, this is going to help your survivability once you go in with your ulti. However, for the most part, you're going to be going Conqueror. Then I like going Brutal, since you attack quite a bit with Vi, especially earlier into the game. Coup de Grace or Giant Slayer, depending on how much HP the enemy champions have. If you're playing versus squishies, go for Coup de Grace. If you're playing versus tanky champions, go Giant Slayer. Then for your legend, if the enemies have CC, go Tenacity. However, for the most part, I like going Alacrity because the extra attack speed helps you a lot with your jungle clear as well. However, if the enemies do have a lot of CC, Legend Tenacity is also a great choice. Lastly, for your last rune, if the enemies have again a lot of Tenacity, Perseverance or Onslaught are great choices. I do prefer Perseverance because I feel like the 10% guaranteed Tenacity is nice, even if you're going for 1v1s. And the extra armor when you are under crowd control is going to help you survive in those fights. Otherwise, if the enemies don't have a lot of crowd control, you go Overgrowth. So again, this is going to be your standard rune page if you don't want to think about it too much. Obviously, Coup de Grace and Giant Slayer is a very easy decision to make. For your summer spells, you're pretty much always going Flash Ignite. Or Flash Smite, excuse me. Now let's jump to the ability breakdown and pro tips for her abilities. Alright, let's take a look at Vi's abilities, break them down, I'll give you my pro tips for Vi. So, her passive is Denting Blows. Every third attack, you deal bonus damage, reduce the enemy armor, and grant yourself attack speed. It's gonna be massive, mostly when you're clearing the jungle, right? So you wanna get 3 auto attacks, right? You see those rings around the enemy dummy. And the third auto attack, we get the attack speed buff, which is gonna make us auto attack faster, and then we can proc it faster over and over again. This is why it's really important, and we're gonna touch on this a bit later too, to reset your auto attacks as much as you can. So if I do auto attack for third ability, and then immediately my first ability, for example, a quick combo, I'm able to proc my passive immediately almost. Right, and I get attack speed, which will allow me to continue my clear faster and faster. Moving on to your first ability, and this is your main gap closer. You pretty much charge your Volt Breaker, you hit the enemies, knock them back, and do damage. There's a few fancy combos that you can do with the Volt Breaker. The main one is Volt Breaker Flash, and you can extend the range of the Volt Breaker, which is your main type of engage without your ultimate to catch enemies off guard. Moving on to your second ability, as you auto attack, you gain stacks and you can absorb damage. So you can see on my second ability how it's on 5 stacks right now, and if I press on it, I gain movement speed and I gain a shield. If I have no stacks, there's no movement speed and the shield is smaller. So after you've gone in and you've used your combo, right, you continue to attack, you get to 5 stacks, and now you can use it to either run away or keep chasing the enemies while also getting in a shield. It's a very, very valuable ability in that sense. Moving on to your third ability, this just empowers your attack and it allows you to do AoE damage, which means that if I put a dummy behind and I hit this dummy, the other dummy will also take damage from my third ability. What's really awesome about your third ability, and again I talked about this slightly earlier, is that it's an auto attack reset. So if I do auto attack, then my third ability, this looks normal, right? Very slow. But if I auto attack and immediately use my third ability, it resets my auto attack, which is a super important skill to learn while jungling, right? You can clear your jungle way faster if you're just auto attacking and then using your third ability to reset your auto attack, and you pretty much get a free extra auto attack off, right? Look how much slower it is if I don't do this. Look how slow it takes to do my 3 auto attacks, right? To get my passive off. But if I immediately use my third ability right after an auto attack, it's way faster. Finally, your ultimate cease and desist. You can target one champion, right? You can target a champion, and Vi will immediately dash to them, do her little uppercut, and knock them up. What's awesome about this ability also is that it pushes enemies out of the way. So if I ult a champion or the dummy behind this one, it's gonna push this dummy, do damage, and still hit the other dummy. So an awesome, very fancy trick you can do is go for an ult on this dummy, right? And if I ult this one, there's no one in my way, so I don't knock the other one up. But if I ult and then flash, I'm also gonna stun and knock the other one out of the way because my path changes, right? And it's a pretty fancy trick that you can use to get multiple champion knockups in fights. So again, when we're looking at the advanced combos, your 2 main advanced combos are first ability flash to get engaged, and also ulting and flashing after your ult to rearrange your position and get an extra knock up and damage, right? If I flash, you can see that this dummy also took damage from my ulti, which does end up doing quite a lot later in the game. Has 450 base damage and 140% of your bonus AD. So it can do quite a bit of damage. 75% damage for the champions that get caught in the way. Now let's look at quick combos of Vi and how you're going to engage fights. Most of the time you're charging your first ability, hopefully hit them. Auto attack, third ability, right? You see how I use my auto attack, and then third ability to reset. If I were to do a combo where I don't reset my auto attack, it does 238 to this dummy, right? And if I do it with the auto attack reset, 655. Obviously I did a little more because of Conqueror stacks, but the main advantage is that you're able to proc your passive because you did 3 auto attacks, and also you get an extra auto attack off by resetting with your third ability. So that's your main basic combo, right? And then immediately after you can ult. Another combo you can use that's very, very easy, so you can use this against champions that have some ability. You can start with your ultimate and immediately knock them back, auto attack, third ability. The benefit of this is that it doesn't give them time to really do anything, because your ulti, they can't really escape it, they can dodge it, right? It's gonna hit them no matter what. And while they're knocked up, you can immediately use your first ability and there's nothing they can do about it. They can really react in time, and you can auto attack and third ability to continue your damage off. What's really important for Vi is after you do your initial combo and you've stacked your Conqueror, right? So I'm doing my combo, Conqueror is at 4 stacks, I need to continue auto attacking. Vi does a lot of damage with her auto attacks, and that's also why we get Brutal. This is why we build Trinity Force, to get even more attack speed. Vi does a lot of damage with her auto attacks, so you want to keep fighting with Vi. You're a bruiser. Your third ability, of course, gets 2 charges, right? It's something I didn't mention, but your third ability gets 2 charges, so you can use it, and then you're gonna have it up again very shortly, so you want to stay in the fight. And once you do your main combo, right, you get your 5 stacks on your passive, will allow you to run away or even keep chasing the enemies. So Vi's abilities are not very fancy, however there's a lot of cool stuff that you can do with them. I hope that you're able to learn something from me from this breakdown. And now let's jump into the gameplay and apply all the knowledge we've learned into the gameplay and actually practice what we teach, right? Let's jump right into it. Let's jump straight into the gameplay, and we are versus a Kindred jungle. What we need to keep in mind, of course, is always the jungle matchup. So level 1, I do my little ward trick where I start with the control ward, I place it on my bot side jungle, then I go base, get my sweeper, and start my jungle clear. Since I'm not gonna need the sweeper for at least a minute, I can have a ward that protects my bot side jungle. I'm gonna charge up my first ability to get the max damage on it, and then hit the blue buff with it. This is gonna be the fastest way that you clear. You also, when you're clearing, right, you wanna make sure you're double camping as much as possible. Double camping is exactly what I'm doing here. I'm using my first ability to hit the camp that I'm finishing off and the camp that I'm about to start. Also notice how I use my third ability to immediately clear. Oh, I actually have quite a bit of pink lag here. But I'm using my third ability as an auto attack reset, as we learned in the abilities video, or in the ability section of the video, to make sure that we're clearing the jungle as efficiently as possible. We're also using our first ability here to jump over the wall, right? What's super important and underrated in the jungle is clearing your camps as fast as possible. You're literally playing versus bots, right? You're playing versus NPCs, which are the camps. So you need to be able to be as efficient as possible. It's something you can easily master, and that's going to save you crucial seconds in the early game that you can use for ganks. Being efficient in the jungle is so unbelievably valuable because you want to be everywhere and you want to be constantly farming, constantly doing something. I see the bot lane fighting on my minimap and pause. Notice what I'm doing while clearing my camp, right? I am moving my camera to gather information on what's happening in the bot lane. I'm looking for 2 things. I'm looking for where the minion wave is, right? Very close to my team's turret, so the enemy has to overextend to get minions. And I'm also looking at the health bars. Look how low everyone is. This is a great opportunity for me to gank. So I keep taking peeks while finishing my jungle clear, and then I immediately look for the gank because it's a good opportunity and I'm able to get a free kill. Kindred is contesting his passive mark in the river, but there's generally nothing he can do because I'm just so much stronger. So this is definitely a mistake from him, especially since he doesn't really have prio from his team. We're able to get our level 5 because we killed the Thresh and we got that early game EXP advantage. We get our ultimate faster than him and we're able to win the 1v1. We definitely win the 1v1 without our ultimate still, but that definitely secures it. We're able to get the Skull Crab, deny his mark, and go to base. So pretty much the 3 skills that we've learned from this early game so far, from this first clear, is 1. Clear your jungle efficiently so you can save time. 2. Punish the enemies when you have a winning matchup. Okay, my Aurelion Sol actually stole the Skull Crab, that's really funny. And 3, keep checking the lanes as you're walking around to not miss out on any opportunities. For example, here, before I engage on the Kindred, I'm moving my camera to see what's going on so I know how to approach the fight. I'm gathering information and then making decisions based off it. Definitely don't think we can kill the Garen here, especially after Aurelion Sol missed his ultimate. So we're going to go back and full clear our jungle again. Our ultimate actually just came up too, which is really nice. So we definitely want to look for a gank. But since all our camps are up, it's really important to stay ahead in the farm. We're actually doing a great job double camping here. One thing about double camping is that you want to be very careful and you want to make sure that you're really good at it before you do it in your games. Because if one of your camps resets, that's definitely going to set you really far behind. You see the little yellow zone, right? If you take your camp out of that yellow zone, after a few seconds, they reset, which can lead to a complete disaster. So I'm constantly peeking around the lanes as I'm clearing my jungle so I can look for opportunities to use my ultimate. I also definitely want to go base soon if I can so I can get my Trinity Force. So I'm going to clear the Krugs and I'm constantly checking the lanes, right? I'm checking again for the minion wave and I'm checking for the HP bars. That's the 2 most important things to get. I'm going to use my sweeper and this is warded. However, it looks like the enemy team is fighting and kind of ignoring me being here. I'm going to immediately focus the Thresh since he's very overextended. Kai'Sa is sitting under her turret nicely. So we will get a Thresh. And I could look for a dive on the Kai'Sa. This is what I'm contemplating here. But Kindred is nearby. You can see him on the map. So this is actually kind of a hard dive. So I'm going to choose not to go for it. Try and pick my team away because they're very overextended. Ziggs and Kindred are around. But I'm sticking around in case the enemies do make a mistake here. So I'm probably going to go base unless something changes. Actually, the crab just spawned with a Kindred mark and I definitely want to be contesting that. So I'm going to immediately go and one-shot the crab before Kindred can even get there, which is perfect. I want to go back to base, but Thresh is very caught out. He was going for a warding mission, it seems like. I probably don't need to use my ultimate and I'm able to get another kill without the usage of my ultimate. Oh, Kai'Sa is stopping my recall. Maybe we can look for Kai'Sa here if Nyla follows up. Nope, it's a little risky. I definitely should have based a little sooner, but we're gonna go base, get our Trinity Force. The problem is that I'm basing while the objectives are already up, right? And I'm assuming Kindred is already on the Herald. And I definitely want to go contest that if possible. Looks like we're gonna be a little late, so he's probably gonna get the Herald, but maybe we can kill him. Yep, he got the Herald. We cancel his jump with our ultimate. He flashes away. Follow up with the first ability flash. He used his ultimate, but there's nowhere for him to go. It should be an easy kill, and we're able to clean up the Thresh as well, which is really nice. I'm going to immediately help mid lane push out so Aurelion Sol can base, but then I'm going to immediately run to Dragon. Both Kindred and Thresh are dead. We weren't able to get the Herald, but we should be able to at least secure the Dragon, which is definitely worth it considering we just picked up 2 kills as well. Okay, Nyla, I see you. Nyla kind of popping off. Get the Dragon. Oh, I probably shouldn't do that considering they have Ziggs ultimate and he could easily just use his own Dragon there and it could be a disaster. But now we're going to immediately go back to farming our camps, right? Our ultimate is on cooldown and we have all our camps up. This is a lot of gold and this is a common mistake I see junglers make. You want to be farming, you want to be maintaining a gold and EXP lead by farming. If I now walk around looking for ganks all the time, even if they are successful, I'm still going to probably be getting less gold than if I were to full clear my jungle, right? So you need to be clearing your jungle. Our Baron lane is actually not having a good time. He's 0-3-0 and like 3,000 gold down, damn. So let's see if we can get the shutdown on this very overextended Garen. And we are. Asol is able to get the shutdown. Kindred is mid, and I see his passive spawn on the Skull Crab, so I'm immediately gonna go to Skull Crab. You need to be denying Kindred these marks, especially when you're stronger like this, right? So we're gonna deny him another mark, and we're gonna go back to clearing our jungle until our ultimate comes back up, when we can look for another gank. Oof, I'm kind of clean with a double camping here. Clean double camping with my Vi. We saw Kindred go bot side with the Hex Tech gates. What's really awesome, and this is why you should be checking the map all the time, is that when somebody takes the Hex Tech gates, you can actually see them. So you definitely want to be checking your map as much as possible. We got the armor boots before. Obviously, they have mostly physical damage. Even though Ziggs does magic damage and Kaisa does a bit of magic damage, they're still mostly physical damage. So we're gonna go for the armor boots, and we're gonna start building towards our Sunder Sky. Kaisa is on a ward and she doesn't know it. We're gonna hit our max range, first ability, ult her down, and pick up an easy kill. And this is what Vi is all about, catching enemies out of position. I'm gonna check the enemy jungle just to see what camps are up. And it looks like Thresh is actually bot lane by himself. We should be able to get a clean dive here. There's 3 of us, and I can tank the turret forever with how tanky I already am. And that's an easy kill on the Thresh that's under turret by himself, and we're still gonna be able to pick up the turret. Gonna go base for my Sunder Sky. Also, I want you to notice, right? My Baron laner is struggling this game, right? He's like 3,000 gold down to the Garen. Garen has taken 2 turrets, but I'm not going top lane to try and help him, right? I only went top lane once to kill the overextended Garen. Because when you're playing jungle, you want to be playing around your winning lanes so you can snowball. Imagine if I went top lane, right? And Kindred also went top lane, and we were in a 2v2 situation. That's something we can easily lose with how far behind Nasus is, right? But if he comes bot lane, when I have my Soraka and my Nyla who are playing really well, it's going to be really easy for us to win that 3v3. So I mostly want to play bot lane, around bot lane. Again, I want to deny another mark from the Kindred. I'm not letting him have any marks this game. He's actually top lane, so this should be an easy Skull Crab. I'm trying to see if I can catch someone out. No one really seems out of position. Oh, maybe we can help Aurelion Sol here. Oh no, Garen flashed. We're not going to be there in time, but we should be able to clean up here. Garen is very, very tanky. Okay, we're able to get him. Oh, now I got hooked under turret. That's not good. Now we should be backing off here. This is a huge overextension. Good ulti from the Nasus to survive. Now we're going to back off, and we're immediately going to go back into our jungle and farm until our ultimate is back up, where we can look for another play, right? We want to continue farming our jungle, staying super far ahead in gold, and continuing to snowball the game. Oh, I didn't get the double camping there. That's fine. Nice, we're going to reset. Our ult is back up. We have 2,000 gold. Every time you have like more than 1,500 gold, you usually want to be looking for a reset, right? We're going to go ahead and grab our enchant, which for the most part, I'm not actually sure if I talked about it during the build, but for the most part, you're either going Stone Plate or Stasis. You can go Quicksilver if the enemies have quite a lot of CC, but you're mostly going Stone Plate or Stasis for the survivability. And here's how I didn't engage immediately, because it didn't look like a good engage, right? I'm waiting for my team to be here, and now we can get a good engage. Use our first ability, jump in the backline with our ultimate, pick off the Ziggs, and we can chase down the rest of the enemies. You see how I hesitated immediately and I didn't go for the engage, right? Because it didn't look like a good angle. My team was not there for the follow-up. So I backed off, and then when Nyla got caught by the hook and was able to get a big ultimate, that was our time to shine. We found the right engage. We picked targets correctly, right? We ulted the Ziggs in the backline. We were able to knock up multiple enemies on the way, and we were able to get a clean engage for the fight. We didn't even need to use our gargoyle. We barely took any damage there. Gonna continue farming the Skull Crabs to deny Kindred his marks, of course. Okay, Nasus. Oh, he's not able to get it. We take the Hextech portal to continue farming. We want to kill our jungle camps off cooldown as much as possible. Perfect. I decided to go for Sterex as my third item to get that shield, which is gonna help quite a bit in these engages. And the extra tenacity is always nice, of course. I'm gonna full clear my jungle since there's not much happening here. In the mid game, when there isn't much happening, you don't really want to force fights when your jungle camps are up, because there's an opportunity cost, right? It's better to just farm your jungle camps, and now that all my jungle camps are down, I have nothing better to do, right? Then I can start looking for fights with my ultimate. Oh, it looks like this is gonna end up being a fight, so I'm coming in from the side. I'm gonna focus the Kai'Sa immediately. I got exhausted, but I'm still able to take her down. I can use my gargoyle and get some heals from Soraka to survive. And now I'm just gonna back off. Good pick on the Kai'Sa. We could actually do Baron here. I'm picking my team Baron because Kindred is bot. So if we got a kill and the enemy jungler is bot, that should definitely be a Baron angle. My team is not coming. I'm pinging, and this is very common in solo queue, right? Your team is not always gonna follow your calls, but you gotta aggressively ping until they realize that it's the right call to make. Kindred is still bot, so there should be a free Baron. I know that Garen is here, but there's not really much he can do. There's no way he can outsmite me. So we're gonna get this clean smite off, and now we can actually finish off Garen. Thresh is coming to help him, so we might go for Thresh as well. Oh, okay. He flashes the wall, but we're just gonna follow up with our ultimate, and that's another kill down. We don't want to overstay, right? We want to base, spend our 3,600 gold. But first, let's deny Kindred his marks. He hasn't really been able to get many marks this game. He's 0 for 0. He's not as effective as us. So now I have a decision to make. Do we want to start building tank, go into the Twin Guard, or do we want to go for the Mortal Reminder? And I do choose to go for the Mortal Reminder because of how fed I am. I'm dealing a lot of my team's damage, so I want to make sure that I can continue dealing that damage as long as possible. And Mortal Reminder with the Armor Pen is going to be the item that allows me to do that. I'll also be able to do a lot more damage to Garen. So in case Nyla and Aesol die, I should be able to clean up. I'm just so fed. If you're not this fed, then Twin Guard is definitely a better option. I actually found a great flanking position here on the Ziggs, and I'm able to one-shot him without anyone even noticing, and I still have my ult up. I'm going to immediately go for the next priority target, which is the Kai'Sa. I am silenced by Garen, but we're able to clean up anyway. And now we can just clean up the rest of them now that Kai'Sa and Ziggs are dead. Again, we're focusing the priority targets, right? Now with the Baron, with a T-Hex, we should be able to get the first inhibitor. Oh, missed our first ability there, but we're still just so much stronger than the Kindred. We're able to pick him off. We definitely cannot end here because of the Nexus shield, right? So we should go to the side lanes and look to get another inhibitor. Nice, we have a big wave bot, we have a big wave top too. And the aims are all respawning, right? Our Baron is about to run out. We still have, yep, it's completely run out now. So we don't want to overextend here. We want to back off. This is how games are lost. We're really, really far ahead, so it might not actually be an issue. But this is how games are lost. You don't overstay and overextend. There's nothing more for us to get. We're going to turn our attention over to Dragon. And this should give us the Hextech Soul. Or the Ice Soul, excuse me, on the Hextech Soul. We're not playing League of Legends. We're playing Wild Rift. So we get the Ice Soul. We're able to finish our Mortal Reminder. And we're going to start building towards probably our Guardian Angel, which again, I said, is a really, really good item on Vi. Gives you a second chance at life when you dive a little too deep. My team's actually slightly overstaying and looking for a fight mid. Oh, but they're playing it really well. They're kiting out the enemies, and maybe I can look for an engage here. I'm going to jump immediately on the Ziggs. Use my shields to survive. And my team is able to follow up and clean them up. I can chase the Kindred, and I'm just so strong in these fights. The awesome thing about Vi is that when you do get this fed, nothing stops you because you're too tanky and you do too much damage. And we should be able to end the game here. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you want more content like this that's more educationally focused, please comment down below, leave a like, and subscribe for more Wild Rift videos.